All right, good morning. Today is Wednesday, February 9th, 2022. I will not be there today, so you will get these recorded messages from me for math and ELA. So the first thing that we're going to do is look at our do now question. Take a minute, you can pause this, and you can go through and put these in alphabetical or ABC order. Okay? All right, so if you are back and you've already got these in ABC order, let's check. The first thing that I like to do is make sure I'm looking at this first letter. This is the letter that matters when we're putting them in alphabetical order. Then I want to look through and see which letter comes first as I'm going through the alphabet. So I could say A, B, C, and I would put carve because I have the word carve that starts with a C. Then I want to keep going. The next letter that I would get to was hayride. So I'm already at H, so I would say H-I-J-K-L-M-N-O. So I have an O. Orange. And then P for pumpkin. Okay, so hopefully your answers look like mine. All right. So the expectations for today, make sure you have a quiet workspace where you can focus on the meeting. Also, I will be sending out two YouTube videos that go along with this. They would normally be put into the presentation, so it's important that you watch them, okay? Our learning target for today is we want to learn about simple and compound sentences so that I can recognize simple and compound sentences, and I'll know that I've got it when I can successfully use simple and compound sentences. Our essential question is, can I use simple and compound sentences? If I can, then I've hit today's learning target. For simple and compound sentences, there's a few rules. We want to make sure that a sentence, that it's a complete thought. So it needs a subject and a predicate. The subject is the who of a sentence, who or what it's about. The predicate is what did they do, okay? So if we look at this sentence, we can see that we have a subject, Rochelle, she's our who, and then we have a predicate, is on her school's soccer team. So Rochelle is our subject, is on her school's soccer team is our predicate. It tells us what Rochelle did. So for our compound sentences, we need to have two simple sentences that are put together with a comma and a coordinating conjunction. And those conjunctions are words like and, nor, but, for, or, so. So when we see those in a comma, that's a big clue that we might have a compound sentence. So as I look through the sentence, I see the word and I see a comma. That tells me there's a good chance that this is a compound sentence. Then we can look back and see our first one, Rochelle is on her school's soccer team. We've already seen that that's a simple sentence. I could tell you Rochelle is on her school's soccer team, and that makes sense. The next one says they practice twice a week. Who practices? They practice. So they would be our subject. Okay? The next thing that we want to look for is what did they do? We already know what Rochelle did. Okay? We know what she did. They practice twice a week. So that tells us what they do. So we have the who and we have the what's. We also have the comma and the coordinating conjunction. We want to make sure that both of these parts of this sentence can stand alone. So if I say Rochelle is on her school soccer team, that makes sense. If I say they practice twice a week, that also makes sense. So this would be a compound sentence. The next thing that you're going to do is you're going to watch this video about compound sentences, and it's really going to help you understand why we need compound sentences and how to make them. Then let's look at this. Is the following sentence a simple sentence or a compound sentence? First, we see this little guy down here, and I'm going to assume his name is Buster. It says Buster ate a yummy treat. So if I want to know who or what in this sentence ate something, I'm going to say Buster. He's my subject. Then I want to know what. Buster ate a yummy treat. Okay, so now we know our predicate and our subject. We only have one of each. This would be a simple sentence. Now we want to look at this sentence. In the following sentence, we see the word and. Okay? So let's look at that a little bit. I'm going to highlight that. We see and. That could be a clue that we're talking about a compound sentence, but we still want to make sure. First, I see Buddy ran in the yard. I'm assuming this is Buddy. So that would be my subject. What did Buddy do? Buddy ran in the yard. Okay, so I have one subject. I have one predicate so far. Next, I'm going to look after the and. It says played catch. Does that tell me who or what played catch? No. It tells me what they did. They played catch. There's a predicate, but there's no subject. We don't know who. Okay? So that tells me it is still a simple sentence. All right, so today I will learn about fables and folktales and how to determine their central message so that I can recognize fables and folktales and be able to determine their central message. And I'll know that I've got it if I can successfully determine the central message of a fable or folktale. So my essential question is, can I determine the central message in a fable or folktale? So to see if we can do that, the first thing I want you to do is watch this video. It is about this dog. It's a great fable about a dog, and I think you guys will really like it. It'll also help you understand more about fables. When you're ready, come back and we'll read a little bit more. So the next thing that we're going to read is The Fox and the Stork. The Fox and the Stork. Long ago, the fox and the stork seemed to be very good friends. One day, the fox invited the stork to dinner, and for a joke, put nothing before her but some soup in a very shallow dish. The fox could easily eat the soup, but he knew the stork could not because of her long bill. The stork was as hungry as ever. "I'm sorry," said the fox. "I guess the soup is not to your liking." He smiled. "Oh, don't apologize," muttered the stork. "I hope you will return this visit and come and dine with me soon," replied the stork. "Of course," laughed the fox. Together the stork and the fox set a day they would meet again. This time the fox visited the stork. But when they were seated at the table, dinner was served in a tall jar with a long, narrow neck. The stork easily ate the food. The fox could not place his snout inside the jar. Nonetheless, he managed to lick the outside of the jar. The fox quickly became annoyed. "The joke is on me, isn't it?" asked the fox. "I won't apologize for the dinner," said the stork, "but now you know how I felt at your house when you served dinner." So what do you think the moral or lesson of this passage is? For me, I like to look back to the passage and find evidence. When I was reading through the passage, I didn't really see anything about never giving up. And that's another tactic that I like to use, is if there's something that I can eliminate, if I can eliminate or get rid of a choice, then I want to do that. So I'm going to look for this never give up because it's not something that I think is correct. When I look back, I see that the fox made the soup in a bowl for the stork, and the stork couldn't eat out of it because she physically had a really long bill that wouldn't pick up the soup. So no matter how hard she tried, she wasn't going to be able to eat the soup. And the fox could not get his nose down in the long, narrow neck of the jar because of his snout. He doesn't have a long, narrow nose, so he wasn't able to get into the jar. So even if they kept trying, they weren't going to be able to do it because it was physically impossible. So I'm going to say that answer is not correct. I'm going to mark that out. And there's always a way. It goes along with that same thought. There's not always a way when the fox was trying to eat out of the jar and the stork was trying to eat out of the shallow dish. There wasn't a way for them to do it because it was impossible with their mouths. They didn't have the right tools to do that. So that's not correct. This one, I want to look at it, even though it's my only choice right now, I want to look back and make sure that it makes sense. So it says, treat others the way you want to be treated. If the fox had treated the stork nicely at the beginning, they would have had a nice dinner. Then, when the stork invited the fox over, they probably would have had a nice dinner. Everyone would have gotten to eat, and everyone would have enjoyed it, and they would have been better friends. But the fox was mean, and so the stork was mean to him in return. So treating others the way you want to be treated was the moral of this story, and it's a great lesson for life. All right, as we close today, I want to continue our series on Black History Month. So today we want to talk about Thurgood Marshall. Thurgood Marshall was born July 2nd, 1908, and he passed away on January 24th, 1993. He was an American lawyer and civil rights activist who served as an Associate Justice of the Supreme Court of the United States from October 1967 until October of 1991. Marshall was the court's first African American justice. If you would like to know more about Thurgood Marshall, you can find the read aloud, Good for Thurgood. And one of his famous quotes was, "In recognizing the humanity of our fellow beings, we pay ourselves the highest tribute." All right, you guys, have a great day. If you have any questions, I'll be there tomorrow. And have a wonderful afternoon.